Hello students, this is Nilofer Miss, your SS teacher. Today we are going to continue our chapter 9, Fundamental Rights, Fundamental Duties and Directive Principles of State Policy. In our previous video, we have completed our fundamental rights. Today we are going to complete this chapter with the completion of fundamental duties and directive principles of state policy. So without further go and wasting our time, let's start. So we have talked a lot about fundamental rights. These are our rights, those are our rights, and we need these and that facilities. But with the rights comes the duties also. Today we are going towards fundamental duties. We have to learn these things also. It is equally important as the rights are. So in that we will go point wise so that it will be easy for you to remember and to understand it. The people of India were more aware of their rights and duties since ancient times. This awareness was there in Indians, not from today, but it is since ancient times. That time also people were very much aware of their rights and their duties. Just as the citizens are given various fundamental rights, various fundamental duties were incorporated by Constitutional Amendment in 1976. It means as the citizens were given various rights, together with that, along with the rights, duties were also incorporated. These duties were along with the rights. As you are getting the rights, same as you have to follow the duties also. It is incorporated by Constitution and the amendment was done in 1976. The fundamental duty aims to inculcate love for nation, national integrity, various high ideals and value awareness among its citizens. Here we are not talking about the duties like you have to work hard, you have to do any physical thing. No, it is not about that. It is about the love for nation. It is about our national integrity, the value of the nation, the pride of the nation, high ideals of the nation and value awareness among its citizens. Citizens must have awareness, must have value, must have the response for the integrity of the nation. That comes with the duty, thereby helping in developing the nation. If we'll keep all these things in mind, if we'll have love for nation, if we'll have national integrity with the high ideals and awareness, so our nation will be well developed. Every citizen of India should contribute towards the protection of nation's unity, integrity and sovereignty, so that there remains peace, security, communal harmony and accord. So every citizen of India should contribute for these things. Nation's unity, it is equally important for all the citizens of India, integrity and sovereignty. So what happened? If we'll give contribution to the nation for these things, then there will be peace, security and communal harmony in our country. So the first point was that people were more aware of the rights and duties since ancient time. Secondly, duties comes with the rights by the Constitutional Amendment in 1976. Thirdly, it is important to show our love for nation and integrity of the nation, high ideals and awareness through these things, and then only the nation will be developed. Every citizen of India should contribute for it. The fundamental duties are given on the first page of textbook. It is given on your textbook. Maybe you have not read it or you have not seen it, but it is given on the first page of textbook. So every child would remember these things. In that, the first point is to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and constitutions, the national flag and national anthem. Okay, first one is, so our first duty, what is our first duty? It is to abide by the Constitution. We have to value our Constitution, we have to follow the rules and regulation of our Constitution, and we have to respect its ideals. Not only Constitution but institutions related to that, the national flag and national anthem we have to respect. That's why whenever national anthem is sung, we have to stand up. Next duty of ours is to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. It means the thought of the freedom which our freedom strugglers were having. Those thoughts, those ideals we have to keep in mind, we have to cherish them, we have to follow those same ideas. These ideals should be inspired by us. Third one is to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. We are living in the democratic country and we have to protect our country. For that, nobody else would come in our country to rule over us. Otherwise, whatever we are getting today will not get again and will be again the slaves. So to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, that is our duty. Next is to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. Whenever country needs us, if there is a call from the country to us, or we can say if the country needs us for anything, for any kind of service, then we should be there for the country. So it is our duty to defend the country and to render national service when called upon to do so. Whenever country needs us, we have to stand by for it. Then, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all people of India, transcending religious, linguistic and regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. So, we have to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood, whether the person is of any religion, any language the person is speaking, any region he or she is from, any section diversities are there, sectional diversities are there, but still we have to promote the harmony, we have to keep brotherhood among us. So that is our next duty. Even we have to keep the dignity of women, that thing comes first. We have to respect the women. To value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. We are having very rich culture. If we say our rich heritage is there, whenever you are reading that pledge, there also it is coming that we are telling in that to preserve the rich heritage. Okay, so here to value and preserve, first of all we have to value those culture, those heritages. Secondly, we have to preserve it so nobody would destroy or damage it. So that is our duty. Next one is to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. That is also our duty, to protect natural environment. In that comes the forest, lakes, rivers, wildlife and even the living creatures. We have to protect all these things for our nation. Next is to develop the scientific temper, humanism and the spirit of inquiry and reform. In the scientific field also, okay, that way also we have to develop our country, we have to work on that, and so we have to develop the scientific temper. Humanism comes first. Humanism we have to keep in mind while working with anybody, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. If we need that there must be any reformation, any changes should be there, so we have to inquire that, and that reform we have to bring in the country. And the next one is to safeguard public property and to abjure violence. We have to stop violence if anybody is doing, and public property should be safeguarded by us. We are responsible for that. It isn't like that any guard is standing and that person only will look after the public property, but we also should safeguard the public property. To strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity. If the person is good, individually excellent, then those excellent qualities should be used for our own country. We should not have those feeling that if I am good for this thing, then I will go to other nation to earn more. But better to live in our country and to give our good qualities for our country, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. If we will show our excellence towards our own nation, then our nation will rise at higher level. So if a person is having excellent qualities individually or collective activity, if they are doing like that, then it should be done in our own nation, for our own nation, for ourselves, for our people. Who is a parent or guardian? To provide opportunities for education to his child, or as the case may be, ward between the age of 6 and 14 years. It is compulsory education for the children, as we learned in the previous video. So as a parent, it is our duty, if we are the guardian, then also it is our duty to provide opportunity for the education to the child. The child should be educated compulsorily. And if the ward is between 6 and 14 years age, then free education is also provided. 6th January is celebrated as Fundamental Duties Day in India. You have to remember all these dates and all these points. Okay, 6th Jan is celebrated as Fundamental Duties Day. Of all these duties, some duties are backed by the law. The person violating it can be sentenced. It means the person may be punished. A teacher should make efforts so that the students follow the duties and they become aware and conscientious. See now here, what is our duty as a teacher? We are making efforts to show you, okay, that what are your duties, what you have to do, and you have to listen to us, you have to work like that. You must be aware of your duties and even your rights. It is our duty and responsibility as a citizen to see that various social evils and customs prevailing in the society should be eradicated, like untouchability, drudgery, child labor, women exploitation, dowry, female feticide, ill customs, superstition. So it is our duty and our responsibility as a citizen that if you find anywhere any social evils or customs still prevailing in the society, then you have to stop that. You have to stand by that. You have to eradicate that. Like what kind of customs and evils? So untouchability, drudgery, child labor, woman exploitation, dowry, female feticide, ill customs and any kind of superstition. If these kind of customs and social evils are there in the society, and if you find that, then it is your duty, it is our duty, and it is our responsibility as a citizen to stop that at that time only, or we have to take any action against it. These duties are directive in conveying us that what a sensible and aware citizen must do. These duties shows us, okay, it is conveying us that how much sensible we are, how much aware citizen we are, and as an aware citizen what we must do. If citizen propagates the importance of utilization of fundamental duties, then future citizens develop the feeling of national responsibility, international brotherhood, just and exploitation-free society. If we will do these things today, so coming generation, future citizens also will get these things. They will also learn the same things from us. We will be helpful to develop these kind of national feeling, national responsibilities, international brotherhood, these kind of things in our coming generation. If we will do this, our generation will also learn the same. These were all our fundamental duties. Now we'll see directive principles and state policy. Here Constitution directs us through these principles. That's why the name is given directive principles of state policy. Directive principles of the state have been incorporated in the chapter 4 of the Constitution. Okay, where it is given, it is incorporated in chapter 4 of the Constitution. You will get that. The objective of the directive principles of state policy is to guide the present and future. Center and state governments in the policy making in various policy related fields. What is the objective of these directive principles? It is to guide the present and future, and even the center and state governments in the policy making, whatever policy the state government and central government is making, to guide them related to those policies. That is the objective of the directive principle. These principles are directives. It means whenever the state government or the central government makes any kind of policy, while making the policy, what things they have to keep in mind. That's why it is given like these principles are directives. It gives direction to them. The state is not bound to fulfill them. It is not compulsory for the state to follow these directive principles. So here the state is different while the government is different. It is not compulsory for the state to be bound or fulfill them. But it is the moral responsibility of the state to keep these principles in the center for framing any policy. But it is responsibility of the state to keep all these things, all these principles in the center whenever the state is making any kind of policy. The main objective of this principle is to see that any political, social and economic justice should be available to all. such a social structure should be established. So what is the main objective of this principle? To watch, to see that any kind of political, either social or economical justice should be available to each and every person. All should get the justice, whether it is at the political level, social level or economic level. For the fulfillment of the objectives and aims of the state, the principles serve as a guideline. These principles are one kind of guideline. Okay. That's why it is the name is given directive principles. It means it gives the direction, or we can say it serves as a guideline. There is no provision in the constitution to implement these principles of law. So here no provision is given in the constitution that you have to implement these principles of law. It is not compulsory for the state. These fundamental principles do not provide any legal support or legal right. These principles, whether the state is following or not, there isn't any legal support to this principle. Then also the framing and administering the laws of the states, these are fundamentals. But while making any kind of policy, while framing any kind of law, by administering any law, these things comes as the fundamental. These things should be kept in mind. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar told, to rule the regime, these principles are the foundations. It means if you want to rule the regime, then these are the principles, these are the foundations of the principle to rule the regime. It means if you want to rule the regime, then you have to keep these principles in the mind, then it will be easy for you to rule the regime. It means an attempt to establish political democracy in our constitution. What is the aim of it? It is attempting, okay, it is trying to establish political democracy. The democracy should not be harmed. Political democracy is incomplete without social and economical democracy. Without social and economical democracy, political democracy is incomplete. The Indian Constitution has included directive principles of state policy in the 4 sections of the amendment. Okay, these are included in 4 sections. Remember that. The kind of country that we want to create, the kind of society we want to construct, that vision is reflected in these directive principles. What is reflected in that? That what kind of country we want to create and what kind of society we want to construct. That vision is reflected, that thing is being seen in these directive principles, in these directive policies. The directive principles are actually directions given by the Constitution to the union and state governments to adopt such policies that would help to establish an unbiased society in our country. For example, anybody is giving direction to us, so whether to work on that direction or not to work on that direction, it is upon us. Same like that, to work on these directive principles or not, that is in the hand of the state government, but it is easy if state government keep these things in the mind while making the policies, then only unbiased society will be established in our country. That's why it is given importance. The primary aim of these principles is to establish a social system based on social, economic and political justice. Just now we saw the same point came again. These principles are about the implementation of the objectives and ideals presented in the preamble. It is again related to the preamble, the ideals which are presented in the preamble. To implement those objectives, these principles are about. These principles are not included in the Constitution of India. Okay? These principles do not serve legal rights or legal backing or legal utilization. For proper administration of the state, these principles are channelized. These principles incorporate such rights as are required for the overall development of mankind. So there is not any legal backup for these things. Legal backing is not given. These are not legal rights, but for the development of mankind, these principles are incorporated. These directive principles are divided into various sections. Now let's see which are these various sections. Principles related to economic policy. For the modification of economic policy, there are certain principles which are given below. First we will talk about economic policy. So in that, the first point, equal distribution of wealth and resources among all classes for the welfare of the citizen. Okay, whatever wealth and resources are there in our country should be equally distributed among all classes for the welfare of the citizen. That is the first rule. Second one, assets and production of resources should not be distributed to certain group or section. This should be administered by the state. Some assets and production of resources, this should not be distributed to any one or particular group, but it should be administered by the state itself. State will look after that, not any group or section of people. Equal pay for equal work for both men and women. That is the third rule. Provision for good health for laborers working at places should be created. Because of financial constraints, it means restriction, the men, women and young children working at unhygienic places or where health matters are retorted should not be allowed to happen. So if the places are unhygienic, so there, if the men, women or young children are working, then they should be stopped. They should not be allowed to work at those places. State should promote cooperation in administration of industrial units by laborers. State will promote cooperation, okay, in administration of industrial units by laborers. That's why if you see in the industries there are laborers and they are having even their leader of them. One representative is there in all the industries of the laborers, and the representative talk for the laborers' right. Then comes protection of children and youth against exploitation and against moral and material abandonment. And to live in a healthy and dignified environment, these principles should be developed by state. So the environment should be dignified and healthy. Children should be protected against exploitation. Even youth should be protected. Relief and leave at the time of delivery should be provided to women. Maternity leave is given to the women. Next is workers' insurance, bonus, maternity leave, gratuity and other legal rights should be included in the policy. These kind of policies should be there wherever the institutions are working. Insurance must be there, bonus on the festivals must be there, maternity leave must be there, and gratuity. The pension system should be there. These are the legal rights which should be included in the policy. To organize agricultural and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines, and to prohibit the slaughter of cows and other useful milk producing cattle. A draft should be drawn for the livestock breed like donkeys, bullocks, cows for halting the slaughter. It means the collection of these animals should not be done, and the business should not be done on these kind of animals. Slaughter of cows should be prohibited. It should be stopped. Equal legal rights to all. All persons should get equal legal rights. State should organize free legal services to the desired citizens who are financially feeble as well as incapable in getting so. It means those are not aware for the legal services, those citizens should also get this knowledge. Free legal services should be given to the citizens, those are financially feeble. It means the people, those who are not having money, but if they want to go in court, okay, if they want to do any case, so there they should get free legal service. These we talked about economic policy. Now comes principles related to social policy. In that, weaker sections of the society, that is the scheduled class, scheduled tribe and backward class, educational and economic rights to be conferred which should be taken in concern by the state. They should be protected against social exploitation and injustice. So these people should not be exploited. SC, ST, OBC, okay? These people should not be exploited by others. Next is uniform civil code should be the concern for all the citizens of the country, thereby dispersing and administering justice to all, which should be taken in concern by the state. Uniform civil code. All must have the same right in the country. It means justice must not given keeping the religion in mind, keeping the class in mind, keeping the caste in mind. No, it should be not like that. It should be uniform, same civil code for everybody, same rules for everybody, same punishment for everybody. Okay. Steps should be taken for social justice in matters of marriage, divorces, adoptions, juvenile assets and properties by the state. So, steps should be taken for social justice. People should get social justice in the matters of these domestic things. Some domestic cases like marriage, divorces, adoptions, juvenile means child cases and assets, properties. Okay. The state should make provisions for the support and education in matters right to employment, old age, illness and inauspicious situations, poverty, etc. So provisions should be made for the support and for education in matters like that. The person should have right to employment, the person should have the work to do, the person must have right to earn something. Then old age, the person should get some or something at the old age. So that comes gratuity, pension and all that. Illness, and that for that also policies are there. The person should be aware of these things. And even the poverty should be, maybe the country must work on that, the state must work on that. Now comes the third point, principles related to international and political policies. In that first point, Panchayati Raj should be established by the state. Panchayati Raj means here if we talk about that Gram Panchayat and all, okay, for which proper leadership, officers and financial aid should be provided to conduct the work in free way. In Panchayati Raj, the Sarpanch should work in free. This leadership comes freely, okay, officers must work freely, financial aid should be provided to conduct the work in free way. Okay, there must not be any kind of pressure to the person who is the leader. The state should separate its services from corporate mindedness, and it should be in liberty so that judges can be impartial, fearless and courageous in rendering judgments. Here there won't be any kind of pressure from the state to the judges. It means these services should be separated. The state should be separate and the judiciary should be separate. That is already separated in our country, and that is why the judges are impartial in our country. They are fearless and they are courageous. The state should make attempts to maintain international peace, security, to establish fair relation between nations and to increase respect of international law. Nations and nations, the relation among the nations should be good, fair relation should be there. Not only we are talking about the nation, but international law must be also respected. So the relations of our country with other country must be also protected. That should be also fair and good. Okay. Our fourth point is principles related to education and cultural policies. Free and compulsory education for the children in the age group between 6 to 14 years. This comes for the third time in the chapter. Now you must be very much clear. 6 to 14 years is mentioned in the constitution, and it is the fundamental right to education since 2019. This amendment came in 2019 that the age group of 6 to 14 should get free education and compulsory education. Okay, to preserve and protect state heritage, artifacts, monuments, cultural places, art and buildings. Our India is full of these things. We are having very rich and cultural heritage, so we have to protect and preserve that for our coming generation, that they also would see these things. The state should protect these cultural heritage places from distortion, robbery, transitioning, disposal and deterioration. So the state should protect these cultural heritage places. The state should have the aim of preserving the cultural and historical legacies. It means these historical legacies, like we can see Taj Mahal, Red Fort, these all places should not be destroyed or damaged. Okay. Our next point is principles related to health policies. Now comes the health policies. Public wellness and hygiene should be provided along with provision for better nutrition and health amenities for the people by the state. These public wellness and hygiene should be provided to the people. Good nutrition must be given. Health amenities must be given to the state. Prohibition on harmful drugs, harmful soft drinks and drugs should be done by the state. State must prohibit these things which are harmful. These should be further banned as it will create health hazard for the people. If the state knows that this is harmful for the people, for the public, then it should be banned in the state. To preserve the environment with latest amendments, thereby taking care of the forest and vegetation should be the policy of the state. Even to preserve the environment, so forest and vegetation should be also being taken care of. Hygienic environment should be maintained in the working areas of laborers. They should have social and cultural development at the time of leisure. Entertainment provision should be there to maintain mental health. These provisions should be kept in concern by the state. Not only the work, the entertainment is equally important for mental health. Okay, if the person wants to be healthy mentally, then the entertainment is compulsory, it is must. So these things, hygienic environment for the laborers, secondly the entertainment must be also there. These should be in concern by the state. Now let us come to the conclusion of the chapter. Thus these principles provide guidance to the state to take lead towards the establishment of equal, just and social order without any exploitation. The guidance, okay, the main thing is guidance, how to keep the state properly, how the rules should be kept properly in the policies, and there won't be any kind of exploitation. The directive principles envisage future society. They guide us to directions that we should go and lead us to our destination. The upliftment of society and protection of society will be taken care by the state. This is the state's responsibility. Okay, fundamental rights limit the state leadership while directive principles extend state leadership. Fundamental rights, it limits the state leadership, while when we talk about directive principles, it extends, okay, it broadens the state leadership. Fundamental rights make the existence of democracy, while directive principles of society and finance imparts aims for interrelation of democracy. Obviously, fundamental rights, it make the existence of democracy, while when we talk about these directive principles, it aims for interrelation of democracy. The relation among the democracies, okay, these things are directive principles and finance imparts. There is no opposition between them, both of them complete each other. Okay, there isn't any kind of opposition while we talk about fundamental rights or we talk about the directive principles, but directive principles helps the state to make the policy. This is one kind of guideline. It guides the state how to work properly. Okay, that is one type of included in the rights itself. So there is no opposition between them, but both of them complete each other. With this point, I am concluding myself. I am completing the chapter here. If you are having any doubt, any query, then you may call me. Thank you. Have a good day.